Boston has often been championed as a center of education, innovation, and history, but yet it carries one of the most documented records of racial segregation in North America. The mechanism behind much of that segregation has a name: redlining. Sadie Smith sets on beauty in a fictional Boston area university town. The novel is a constant flux of how race, space, and belonging are negotiated in smaller pockets of liberal holdouts. In the 1930s, the Federal Home Owners Loan Corporation, known as the HOLC, created color-coded maps of American cities to assess mortgage lending risk. Neighborhoods deemed hazardous were outlined in red, and those neighborhoods were overwhelmingly black, immigrant, or of mixed race communities. Banks and federal lenders use these maps to deny mortgages, insurance, and investment to residents in redlined areas. As the National Community Reinvestment Coalition notes, this denied communities access to capital investments which could improve the housing and economic opportunity of residents. In Boston specifically, neighborhoods like Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan were systematically redlined. The HOLC ratings show that wherever black families lived was automatically marked hazardous. Roxbury was deemed red, despite, in the HOLC's own words, its great public transit and school system, solely because of what appraisers called the infiltration of Negroes. The effects were not just economic. Redlining determined access to good schools, parks, grocery stores, and public transit, shaping the entire geography of opportunity. Redlining was formally outlawed by the Fair Housing Act of 1968, but a well-intentioned local lending program, the Boston Bank's Urban Renewal Group, actually deepened segregation by restricting loans to already redlined neighborhoods. Sadie Smith never calls out redlining directly, but the novel is shaped by its legacy. As Wikipedia's summary of the novel notes, the fictional Wellington College contains many close parallels to the real Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Smith wrote part of this novel while attending the Harvard Radcliffe Institute. I believe it's important to give historical context to the origins of the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority to understand the connections in Sadie Smith's On Beauty. As a side note, I did want to mention that as I was doing my research, I took notice to there being a lack of pictures where minority groups were riding the subway system in Boston. And so then I modified my search to specifically look for pictures where people of color were present riding the subway system, and they're very few and far in between. And so I thought that was very interesting. One of the novel's most powerful illustrations of this divide comes through Levi Belsey. As he rides from Boston into Wellington, Smith uses this journey to make visible the geographic and racial borders that redlining built through overt comparisons of the architecture at the college. In Chapter 8, Levi rides the subway system and watches the city transform around him. As he travels from Wellington, Smith writes that the white spires of the college seemed to him like the watchtowers of a prison to which he was returning. Wellington is described as gleaming, orderly, set apart, a world of ceremonious willows and manicured lanes. But for Levi, crossing into it feels like returning to a gilded prison, not a rival. He is not returning home. He is returning to a place that was never fully his. Up next, I have a couple of questions for you guys. Just some food for thought.